This is incredible. Where has this been all my life?
That was Mr. Griff Ruby's reaction after discovering a traditional Catholic community hidden in the hills above Spokane, Washington. A discovery that would send him on a 7-year journey through one of the most controversial and deeply debated movements within modern Catholicism.
The curated chapter. Stories worth knowing. Hand-selected voices. Fascinating people. Hidden stories with Sam Humans.
Welcome to the Curated Chapter, a chapter-sized look at books and the people who write them. Now today, we've opened up the book, The Resurrection of the Roman Catholic Church, a guide to the traditional Catholic community, by Griff Ruby. In it, Mr. Ruby explores the sweeping changes that followed Vatican II, the major Catholic council of the 1960s that reshaped how the Church interacted with the modern world, including changes to the Mass, language, liturgy, and the Church's relationship with other faiths. Now, for many Catholics, Vatican II represented renewal and modernization. But for others, it marked a dramatic departure from tradition, and that tension sits at the heart of this book. This is an intelligent and deeply researched work, but for listeners unfamiliar with the term Vatican II, that historical context is important here. According to Griff Ruby, authentic Catholic tradition still survives today, but in small, faithful communities scattered around the world, including one hidden in the hills above Spokane, Washington. And when he found it, it changed the course of his life.
It's a whole massive hub of the faith up there, and everything is the old way. Everything's in the Latin, all the old theology, all the theology works that form the basis of what they teach. And I saw that. I'm in awe. This is incredible. Where has this been all my life? I mean, I know about the church. The church is structured a certain way. And then here's these communities. They're not fitting the usual, what most people think of as the structure. And yet they clearly have more claim on it. And that was kind of the interesting dichotomy that impressed me. I wanted to know more about this.
That curiosity formed the basis for this book, and he says it wasn't just what he found in Spokane that fascinated him, it was why communities like this existed at all. Why had so many Catholics spent decades searching for older forms of worship, older theology, and older traditions that they believed had largely disappeared from mainstream Catholic life after Vatican II. And perhaps more importantly, if the Catholic Church is meant to preserve continuity across centuries, how could such dramatic change happen in the first place? Answering that question led him into years of research, travel, interviews, and historic study that eventually became this book.
I wanted such a book. It didn't exist. So then I started getting all these periodicals and publications, books, anything I could find pertaining to this subject. I also started traveling and interviewing for different people and so forth. Learned a lot, picked up all these pieces.
Like any project that you're passionate about, if you throw yourself into it deeply enough, it can change you.
That changed me from someone who thought this is really neat and interesting, and I'm almost like a National Geographic writer, documenting some obscure community I found in some strange mountain pass that nobody else knows anything about, only to something where I'm involved. I believe in what these people are doing. It is my life.
As his research deepened, so did the conclusions he drew from it. And this is where the conversation gets a little bit controversial. Mr. Ruby argues that the changes that followed after Vatican II were not just reforms or modernization efforts, but they represented a profound break from historical Catholic continuity, a conclusion some Catholics would strongly disagree with.
It may shock some people. I understand that. That organization that now runs from Vatican City is not legally continuous with the organization that ran from Vatican City from up until Peter took the see to Rome back in the first century, clear until at least no earlier than the death of Pope Pius XII in 1958. So for that span, it's totally clear what's going on. The progression is absolutely clear, logical. Not that there can't be some development and enfleshments of everything, but you see the original doctrine just growing stronger and clearer. and so forth over the years. And then suddenly there's this Vatican II comes along, and it's this huge sideways motion. We're going sideways.
At the center of his argument is the belief that authentic Catholic tradition has survived not within the modern mainstream church, but within smaller traditional communities like the one he found in Spokane, Washington. Communities that preserved the older Latin Mass, older theology, and older forms of worship. And for Mr. Ruby, this isn't simply about nostalgia. He believes something much larger is at stake.
They're not the church anymore. God protects the church. He keeps the church on the straight and narrow. As I demonstrate, in particular, the traditional community, that's where God has actually kept those protections in place. To me, that's a modern day miracle that we watch it just continuing and continuing year after year, while the folks there in the Vatican City organization and all these things they took over, they just get crazier and crazier and crazier.
And by crazier, Mr. Ruby is referring to what he sees as a growing theological and moral departure from historic Catholic teaching.
You got popes saying, well, who am I to judge homosexuality? Or it's okay if people shack up and we give them the Eucharist anyway. That was the previous guy they had. And this new guy's already getting some strange things too. So, it's like, Catholics, you don't need to put up with that. You shouldn't put up with that.
And he says this story is not only theological, it's also historical. In fact, he says, much of the book is about history.
First of all, there's a lot of history that's happened. And the thing is, most of this is history. I spend the first 5 chapters and some introductory materials kind of explaining the general situation, introducing the reader to the whys and wherefores of this. This is good stuff. There's a history here that's real important and needs to be documented.
Ruby says the book is ultimately about preservation, the preservation of tradition, the preservation of continuity, and the belief that even in periods of confusion and upheaval, authentic faith can survive with the help of small, faithful communities.
It's like up until then, we were so under the radar, that's why nobody'd heard of it.
Whether you agree with his conclusions or not, the resurrection of the Roman Catholic Church raises questions that reach far beyond Catholicism itself. How do institutions preserve continuity through times of rapid change? What happens when believers feel spiritually displaced inside traditions they once trusted? And how do communities hold on to identity when the modern world seems to be moving in another direction entirely? For Mr. Ruby, the answers are found in the traditional Catholic movement and the communities he believes preserved something ancient through difficult times.
There are very tough questions, and I don't think anybody got all the answers. We're all struggling. We know what we need to do, even if we're not totally sure how to explain ourselves. And I think that, to me, is the one thing that unites the traditional Catholics until we have a real pope ready to say, here we are. This is us.
Near the beginning of the book, Ruby references a line from Canon Francis J. Ripley's book, This is the Faith, and it might just capture both the spirit of his work and the meaning behind its title. He writes, "The Church is the continuance of the work of a divine person. She will never fail simply because Christ can never fail. Her every Calvary will be followed by a fresh resurrection." If you found any of this intriguing, the book is available now online, and it's called The Resurrection of the Roman Catholic Church, A Guide to the Traditional Catholic Community by Griff Ruby. This has been The Curated Chapter with Sam Humans. Thanks for listening.
The curated chapter. Stories worth knowing. Stories worth knowing. Hand-selected voices. Fascinating people, hidden stories with Sam Humans. Sam Humans. The curated chapter.